When you walk into the nave of St. Paul's Church and you see the baptismal font and the Paschal candle holder, do you ever wonder, where did these items come from and what's the story behind them? Well, let's find out. I'm Ann Grainer, and this is St. Paul's Revealed.
My name's Tammy Martin. My family and I moved here in 1998, and we've been members of St. Paul's ever since. And now I'm going to tell you the story of how the baptismal font came to be at St. Paul's. After we'd been a member here for a few years, our church began to grow, and we decided to expand our worship space. And this was all under the leadership of our rector at that time, Russell Kendrick, who also happened to have been an architect before he became a priest. So during this time, my family and I, including my parents, Dan and Cleo Ward, we all traveled together to Italy for a trip. Russell, having been an architect, was very excited to hear about our trip once we returned and to learn about what we had seen while we were there. When we were visiting the city of Mantova, Italy, we were in a large basilica, an ancient facility with beautiful Renaissance art and Gothic art. But what popped out in my mind was the beautiful Stations of the Cross that were on the walls. And those had been done very recently in a more modern style by a local artist, Andrea Iori. Our Italian guide that was with us said, "Would you like to meet the artist? His studio's just a couple of blocks away." And we, of course, were, yes, we want to go meet him. And we did, and Andrea was very excited to meet us, a family from the United States that was interested in his work. And what stood out to us about him was that he was focused on liturgical and religious subject matter, even in this modern age. During our conversation with the artist, Andrea Iori, we explained that back here in Noonan, Georgia, we were building a new worship space. And we were so inspired by his works, we asked if he would be interested in a commission here in the United States at our church, St. Paul's. And he was very excited about that opportunity. So when we returned from Italy, of course I was excited to share with Russell Kendrick all the beautiful things that we had seen and the good news from this artist, Andrea Iori, who would be willing to make some sort of art for our new church. And so I talked to Russell about him. They were introduced to one another via email and letter correspondence, and they started talking about different features for the new worship space. And Russell was very much excited about a new font. There were several designs offered, but Russell was really drawn to this one because the main feature is the base of the baptismal font, which is a design of the tree of life. The basin that holds the water for baptism is designed like a shell, and that's an ancient symbol of baptism. Inside the basin, when you look in the water, it says, "You are my beloved, with you I am well pleased." And those were words that Russell wanted. If we look at the tree of life, he not only wanted fruits, but also nuts. And then there's some birds as if they're coming to rest here. And not only is it beautiful in this bronze, but Russell felt like young children in particular would be drawn to the baptismal font and they would want to touch it. And I do believe a lot of young children are drawn here, especially when we have baptisms here in our church. Well, it had taken several months for this to be made, and when Andrea packaged it in the freight crate and sent it off to the U.S., we finally heard that it had landed in the United States, and we were so excited. We just knew it was going to be delivered, but it got stuck in customs, and it was stuck there for 3 or 4 weeks, and so we had to wait a little longer. But when it arrived at St. Paul's, it was placed right here in the center of the church where we see it now, and this was the design that Russell had in mind for the baptismal font when he worked with the architects with the new space. He designed the pews so that the baptismal font would be right here, and when we have baptisms, if you've ever been to one here, especially the young people will gather right here around the font. The artist Andrea Iori also felt that the baptismal font needed a cover, and it too is cast of bronze, and in the center is a sculpture of the risen Christ. We keep it in the narthex of the church because we like to leave the baptismal font open for people to touch the holy water or the blessed water when they come in. But there are times in the church year, sometimes Lent or Advent, when the baptismal font is covered. So the baptismal font was first used here at St. Paul's at the consecration of the church, the new facility. That was on September 17th, 2003. The bishop at the time was Neil Alexander, and he was here to celebrate with us. That was also a bittersweet moment because my father and mother attended that consecration, and that was the last church service that my father attended before he passed away in November. My mother and I decided that we would like to commission another piece of artwork by Andrea Yori in memory of my father. And so we met with Russell Kendrick, and he suggested a Paschal candle holder for the church. The Tree of Life motif that was the main part of our baptismal font continues in the Paschal candle holder. And along with that, we've included symbols that are traditionally associated with the Holy Spirit. At the base of the Paschal candle holder, you can see an image of God the Father, and this is the breath of God, the Ruach of God. Here, if we move up the base, is a descending dove, and that too is a symbol of the Holy Spirit. And it draws us back to Jesus' baptism when the dove comes through the clouds. And near the top of the candle holder, we have the flames, the tongues of fire that we associate with the Holy Spirit at Pentecost. And as a nod to my father, because this was given in memory of him, we asked Andrea to add an image of a smiling or laughing Jesus. My father was a teller of tall tales, and he loved to tell jokes. And this is what we felt like his greeting with Jesus would be. So when I am here for a baptism, anyone's baptism, it is special to me because I see the young children being drawn to the base of the baptismal font and all being blessed by the waters in the baptismal font's basin. And I'm happy to know that I'm part, or my family was some small part of welcoming all these people into the family, into the Church of Christ. And the same thing really with the Paschal candle. It's lit on special occasions, funerals, and I've been to many funerals here, and a lot of special people have passed that I've known, and then also at baptisms, it's lit. And to think about my parents who loved this church so much and loved us so much that they wanted to give something as a permanent gift. So my hope for this baptismal font and this Paschal candle holder is that it will continue to draw people to Christ, and we will always be reminded of our own baptismal covenants, and that we will love all people as Christ loved us.